British, US and Swiss regulators fined 5 global banks more than $3 billion for attempting to manipulate foreign exchange markets. It comes as another major blow to an industry that is still recovering from lost faith due to previous scandals of rigging interest rates and the role in the triggering of the global financial crisis. Sabika Razvi with more.
The global financial sector is once again hitting the headlines for its corrupt dealings and illegal under-the-table tactics.
This morning we've announced settlement. The traders put their own interests ahead of their customers. They manipulated the market, or attempted to manipulate the market, and abused the trust, I think, of the public, and certainly us as regulators.
US, UK and Swiss regulators, in their efforts to clean up a sector plagued with deceit and dishonesty, have slapped 5 of the world's largest lenders with the highest penalties ever imposed, a massive $3.4 billion. And the banks being fined are the key global players: HSBC, Royal Bank of Scotland, Swiss Bank UBS and US banks JP Morgan Chase and Citibank. The charges follow a year-long investigation of the lenders and their use of widespread rate rigging in the $5.3 trillion a day foreign exchange market. The UK's Financial Conduct Authority reported the failings had occurred over a damning 5-year period. This is despite whistleblower reports and client complaints over misconduct behind closed doors between traders. Reports also reveal traders used chat rooms and trader jargon to trigger client stop-loss orders. These are orders placed with a broker to sell a currency when it reaches a certain price. Designed to limit an investor's loss, it was instead used for the trader's own benefit. Among other offences, traders were also found to be sharing confidential information about client orders and making agreements on trading strategies. So far, employees caught up in the misconduct have either been fired or suspended. And separately, the Bank of England, which has been accused of knowing about the foreign exchange scandal while doing nothing about it, published a separate report by Lord Grabiner, clearing its officials. With nearly 40% of the world's dealing estimated to go through trading rooms in London, this scandal will be yet another blow to London's status as a global financial centre. British Chancellor George Osborne, for his part, said,
"We take tough action to clean up the corruption in the city by a few so that financial markets work for everyone. It is part of our long-term plan to fix what went wrong in our economy and wrong in our banking system. The Serious Fraud Office are conducting criminal investigations and they have our full support in doing so."
However, following a constant emergence of foul play by global financial players, faith in the world's cities is already at an all-time low. Osborne's words and the latest Financial Authority penalties may hold little sentiment to those hoping to see real reform.
Now, joining us live on Skype is Dr. Talib Wassi to expand on this issue further. He's an economic expert. Dr. Wassi, thank you very much for joining us firstly, but just how serious is this latest banking probe, and what does this say about the credibility of our banks?
It gives a very poor picture of the banking standards that is being followed. Time and time again, Americans, British, and the European banking system have come up that, oh, they are going to come down very hard on the corrupt bankers and managers who have benefited with these corrupt practices, not in terms of hundreds or thousands of millions of dollars. We are actually globally talking billions and billions of dollars, and the criminals are actually getting away with it. That is the sad thing. The morale in the banking sector is such that they feel they can get away with impunity and very little damage done to their bonuses. You see, what has happened just now we already clearly knew that these things were going on. British bankers knew, the authorities knew very well that these things has to be stopped. But the trouble is that we haven't got a properly laid down banking regulation to follow.
Now, what would it take to introduce a sort of banking laws to avoid these kind of issues in the future then, Mr. Wassi? Dr. Wassi.
Mark Carney, who is the governor of Bank of England, has said only just last month that he is going to have a rule set up that the bonuses earned by these criminal bankers can be clawed back. The banks in America, the authorities, the government has also spoken very harsh words. It is not enough. People who are simple depositors in these banks who hold the accounts, they are not happy with just words. All they want to know is, what action are you going to take? What action? This $3 billion amongst the 5 big banks announced today, it is a drop in the ocean from their earnings. It is nothing. To you and me, $1 million or $1 billion sounds a lot of money, but in reality, in banking terms, it's peanut. It's nothing. It's not even a day's earning. And what the authorities are doing is a whitewash. We don't want a whitewash. We want a regulatory system that works. Just like they are able to catch small-time petty thieves and criminals and bring them to the court and send them to the jails and gallows, in the similar way, similar style, banking system regulations should be so good and completely airtight so that these criminals who enjoy, as the governor of Mark Carney said the other day, they still enjoy the best golf courses, the best hotels and restaurants, and they are still living the life of a dreamland.
Dr. Wassi, we'll just move on to the next question. I mean, traders inside the same banks were found guilty of deliberately rigging LIBOR just a couple of months ago, or not long ago. And now different traders are rigging the financial markets. Where does it end with these banks?
We have to know where these money go. You see, they use a very loose term called money laundering. It is nothing but a wash to cover the backs of the big bankers, the backs of the big politicians who are throwing money from one continent to the other, from one industry to the other. If you look at what has just happened recently. Last week, the Times came up with the story that our ex-prime minister negotiated a deal between Saudi Arabia and China, an oil deal. No, these deals are done not in petty cashes. They are done in hundreds and millions and billions of dollars worth of things. Look at the British armed industry forces. The amount of corruption, the bank money rolls on from one country to the other in bribing the Saudis to buy British arms. The Indians have just withdrawn. Last year, they withdraw one of the very big orders called the Western helicopter orders from England because they were bribing the government. So the bankers and the politicians have to stop throwing monies around the world as if it was a money they were playing in a casino or in a gambling houses. Banks are not gambling houses. Banks are responsible places where people put their trust and money so that in old age, in their pension money will be safe.
Dr. Wassi, we're just going to have to move on slightly, but time is of the essence. Economic expert Dr. Talib Wassi, thank you very much for your time.